This Veterans Day, I'd like to honor my great-grandpa Paul Eater.
I'd like to thank my grandpa Kurt Spavin.
For this Veterans Day, I would like to give a special shout out to my dad, Chuck Marjolie.
This Veterans Day, I would like to give a shout out to my grandpa George Hopkins. He fought in World War II.
Today I'd like to give a special thanks to my Aunt Chelsea.
I'd like to say happy Veterans Day to my stepdad, Kodak.
And thank you for your service.
Happy Veterans Day.
I'd like to shout out my Uncle Jeremy for serving in the Army.
Today I would like to thank Bertus Hall for serving in the American Legion. Happy Veterans.
Today I would like to thank my grandpa Stephen Bailey for his service in Vietnam. Happy Veterans Day.
We would like to give a special shout out to
My dad, Jan Segato.
thank you for your service.
Happy Veterans Day.
I'd like to thank my grandpa William Doty for all the service he's done for us.
This Veterans Day, I'd like to thank my dad, Ryan Humphreys.
I'd like to thank all veterans for their service.
For this Veterans Day, I would like to thank my grandpa David Weiss.
Thank you for your service.
This Veterans Day, I'd like to give a special thanks to my dad, Dusty Melvin, for serving in the Marine Corps.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I'd like to give a shout out to my grandpa Ralph.
I'd like to say thank you to my grandpa Earl.
For Veterans Day 2024, I'd like to shout out my grandpa Dale.
On this Veterans Day, I'd like to honor my Uncle Riley. Thank you for your service.
On this Veterans Day, I would like to give a shout out to my grandpa Dennis Ledbetter.
This Veterans Day, I'd like to honor my cousin Kyle Salies. Thank you for your service.
I'd like to wish my grandpa Steve a happy Veterans
This
Day.
Veterans Day, I'd like to give a special shout out to my favorite neighbor.
My dad, Brooks Wortman. Thank you for your service. I'd like to thank my dad, Nathan.
Thank you for your service.
This Veterans Day, I'd like to honor my grandpa Rounder.
Thank you for your service.
This Veterans Day, I would like to give a shout out to my grandpa.
This Veterans Day, I would like to thank Jim Hempill.
This Veterans Day, I'd like to thank my uncle for service.
I want to give a thanks to my stepdad, Brandon. Thank you for your service.
I'd like to give a shout out to my grandpa Bob, that was in the Navy.
I'd like to give a shout out to all the veterinarians that served for us. I'd like to give a shout out to my grandpa. He served in the Vietnam War and he made it home safely.
I'd like to say a special shout out to Brian Aaron, who served in the Army for Veterans Day.
I want to give a shout out to my great grandpa Mo and my other great grandpa. My grandpa Mo was in World War II and he fought for the entire war and made it home safely. But my other great grandpa fought in World War II and got a Purple Heart badge and had to be sent to a hospital and barely survived.
This Veterans Day, I would like to give a shout out to my great grandpa, Ernest Ray Carnes, that just died earlier this year, and my grandpa.
I dedicate this day to my grandfather, Otis Wendell Banks. He served the military as a Marines Reserve, and he died in 2020 during COVID, and he passed away from COVID.
This Veterans Day, I'd like to give a special shout out to my great uncle Leonard, who died on Normandy Beach, June 6, 1944.
I'd like to give a special thanks to Mr. Falwell and Leanne Blackburn.
Happy Veterans Day!